Hello, Self, Cosmos, Ohana, Infinite Beings. Soul Dr. Nick here, and this is Magic Mirror Work for April 1st, 2025, Tuesday, April Fool's Day. I haven't even thought of any April Fools today. And I contemplated this morning, being around my fire. It is probably around 6:35 a.m. First light was at 6:19 a.m. today. Made it out shortly after that. Those bluish kind of skies. It's kind of like this cloudiness over the day. I slept from about 2:10 till then on the couch listening to podcast. First with Naval on Modern Wisdom, and then with Aubrey Marcus and Mark Gaffney and Paul Selig. Just having some wild dreams. But waking up really stiff in the midsection and the neck. Headachy. I think it's still residual from 2 days ago, having led that big breath session, and just a reminder of the energy flow currently in holding that, and the stretching of the muscles and the being, and then the reminder that I have the capacity to hold something even bigger, and how to honor each step. It's not jumping there right away. Part of it, as I was listening to especially Aubrey Marcus and Paul Selig, they're talking about channeling and low frequency, high frequency kind of beings coming through, and low frequency ones may tell you things to pump up your ego and as well be fear-based. And that's what happens to Aubrey's dad. And if you're pushing so hard to connect to anything, that's more possible. And I've had experiences of channeling and was unexpected. I wasn't trying to get there. I don't remember it being low frequency or scary or losing myself in it, in terms of not being able to come back. And this is the important work, and it's important to have people around me who I respect, who want to help guide me back to me. Big reason for having Elizabeth in my life as well. I'm really grateful for her. Train's coming through now. And so just allowing myself to move a little bit this morning. This is part of the reminder from Ellie, my coach. It's like, how do I start moving the body and just start noticing the stiffness, the unstiffness, and shifting through this. I'm not in a permanent state of stiffness, but I'm not in a permanent state of unshiftness. My reminder as well is when things are just tense or tight, that's how the stiffness happens. It's like when you're really relaxed and taking it easy, that's true sleep and rest. The body actually gets to heal because it gets to move into any position. And so, yeah, last night, being on that couch was definitely not a good idea, and I stayed there far too long. I knew from the beginning it wasn't going to be one of the good couch days. Because there's some days where it works out perfectly. I didn't want to go back to the bedroom too, though, because I was worried that I was going to disturb my son. That was part of the reason. So, being with what is right now instead of what I wish would be, I'm like, it'd be really nice to be more well-rested. It'd be really nice to not be so stiff. It'd be really nice not to have this headache. It'd be really nice to ... And I'm out here in the sunshine. This is what I want and wanted. Magic mirror work. So this is for me, by me, through me, as me. And I say that because it's such a reminder to ground me to me, like I am. And then taking a look at all the names that I could give myself. All the ideas. Am I a defender? Am I a king? Am I a medical doctor? Am I a soul doctor? Am I a father, husband, lover, brother? I am a leader. The other day I was seeing some King Arthur in someone, and I'm reminding myself it doesn't mean that they are King Arthur, but all of us can channel and connect with aspects, facets of these people who are both real and mythological figures now. For me, it's more of the Merlin side of things, that magician side. And for me right now, it's connecting more with the king, the warrior, the lover side. Recognizing and thank you, Bay and Matthew, for coming to help me with the breath. The people that will jump at opportunities to be together. And I'm so grateful for that. And then for my own business, Ohana Sage, it's like noticing how I want to push it. I want to push it into success. And can I have some patience and some impatience and be able to find that intersection? To notice what's missing in me for it to be what I want it to be. Just looking at this wooden flooring and thinking, yeah, it'll be nice to have wooden flooring underneath this gazebo, and how much of it do we put in there? And just trusting it as well. All these structures in life. All these structures in life. And it's funny, sometimes I say things and I'm like, I don't even realize why I said it. And the truth of it's like, oh, I put a gazebo up here in a heartbeat if it was $1,000. Yes, it was over $1,000. Not much more though. It was cheaper than I could have imagined from my dear friend, Francis. And now that it's up here, everything has changed. Like, we're up here so much more often, and it starts with me. You know, and that's the part I think sometimes I'm reminding myself as a father, how do I lead living the life that I want to live? How is my son looking at life through my eyes right now? How do I remind mothers that their kids look through their eyes, and what do you want their eyes to see? If you wouldn't want their eyes to be staring at this, then do you want to be staring at it? And this reminds me, what about the movies that I'm watching? What about the pornography that might come up? What about the experiences I'm having, the conversations I'm having? And not to censor though either, because that's the other piece. If you look at this and say, oh my God, I've got to censor myself. How is that not serving? That whole idea of censorship, and it starts subtly, right? With the swear words, but then it becomes thought forms. Things that contradict generally accepted beliefs. And who defines generally accepted? I watched the movie Fly Me to the Moon, where it's like, oh, did they or did they not fake the moon landing? And as I'm watching that, I'm like, this is not a surprise. This is not an accident that through Apple TV and all these producers, they're putting out a slickly generated movie. And I loved it because it was ScarJo was in it. And it was a comedy. And it reintroduced me to the idea. I've always found it curious, like, how would I run things if I was able to fly to the moon and it was supposed to be this amazing milestone? Would I then stop flying to the moon for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 decades? 50. Considering how much technology has changed, considering this phone is more powerful than all of the technology, theoretically, that they had at that time. And if that's the case as well, and they're having such a trouble like planning the next unmanned moon mission back, because they have sent a couple drones as far as we know, a couple robots, then how infinitely lucky were they for this to have turned out exactly the way it did, if it did. And if it didn't, then part of it is, well, we can't do it now because we should be showcasing how easy it was and that we can do it reproducibly. And if we fail now, then that's actually a sign, and we're bringing more people in, and it's harder to keep that circle tight. And how many people, including myself possibly, because I said this the other day, like, and I was half joking, half serious. I told Mariah Confounding that it's like, if I had someone who could bring clients in right now and do this, I might just say yes, because there's somebody that really wants to work that much. And that's part of it. Like, how many people were just willing to say yes? How many people were blackmailed too? Because that's just it. There's more talk about how that's part of the older world order. It's like, how do we hold stuff over each other? And I even know that, right? Like, it's in friends, it's in places I've been, and it's like, oh, I know this thing about you, and I'm going to reveal it unless you do ... That's one of the older ploys in movies, and it still plays out. People want to say they're above it, but no. That's probably one of the deepest things that is still there, one of the deepest fears that is still there. Whether it's your professional, like how many people are doing things that they would never want to share with their family. Yeah. Just notice that for myself. There's always edges. There's always not there's always edges. There's been in my history edges, been in my history secrets. And it's just noticing those edges and noticing those secrets. And then taking a breath. Yesterday I got to play with my son, watch him, sink a basketball for the first time in a fairly high net, being encouraged by a family friend. I was like, wow, that is so cool. And he did it again. He was so excited. I got the second one on video. And then he hit his first T-ball yesterday too, and running around balls, and his throwing arm is pretty good. Like he's got some athleticism around him, and he's got a very much, I will play the rules that I want to play, but I don't need to play by the rules that you set. And I really appreciate that. And I don't have to try to tell him or not tell him. That's part of it, is it's letting his spirit fly free and noticing when someone wants to constrain it, and not even trying to constrain the constrainer. That's the piece that I'm recognizing. How do I trust and be a presence for him that he knows that it's safe for him to express? It's safe for him to walk away. Walk away from all that you know. And that's the piece, they were talking about what's the exercise. If you go back to your younger self, like 15, 20 years ago, and say, what would you change? And what would you tell him? And you can't tell predictions and stock market stuff and all that stuff, but what would you tell him? And I can see how it comes back to, I wouldn't tell him to do anything differently, because if I did, I wouldn't be right here, right now. And right here, right now is pretty fucking awesome. And it's the same thing in telling myself now, how do I actually enjoy the moments? How do I better move through the moments of disconnection, of self-blame, of rumination, of all those things, of trying to get the blessing, of trying to turn over my sovereignty, of feeling like I'm poor or not enough. And then when I was looking there, I was like, yeah, and wouldn't I want things to have gone a little differently still? Like, wouldn't I have wanted myself to be able to quit easier? And that's the thing to tell myself now. What am I holding on to? And better, it's like the signs the universe are pointing to is like, oh, we're going to build these giant towers next to us. Both of us don't want to be here for that. Got it. For me, construction. For me, destruction, because we're going to start destroying stuff soon. For me, noise. For me, all the animals, insects, traffic, all the disruptions that way too. And recognizing that's not how I want to live. But how do I want to live? How close to the city do I need to want to be? And it's not always easy, because I want to be accessible. I want my beloved to get what she wants. That's for sure. Buying an older piece of land. An EMF biologist, an EMF building, an EMF land mitigator. That's something important to take a look at some point in time. Buying, developing land, getting connected to the land every now and then. Getting connected to the land every now and then. Every house is a practice. Every place is a practice. Every day is a practice. Every day is just a practice in life. And then just let it go. And just let it go over and over again. Almost time to poop. Almost time to poop. Looking forward to this first poop of the morning. I think I'll let go of some of the tension that's in the body. Listening to Naval, being reminded, if you're not sure, the answer is no. And I appreciate that. Like he's like, I have a clear schedule all the time, and part of me is kind of there sometimes. And that's at first it's like, oh, I've got all the schedule. It feels like that's actually really nice to have a clear schedule. That's what I want. And that's what I aspire to. but aspiring to that clear schedule without obligation, and that's the piece right now. And I do get these mornings. So these mornings is right now I'm doing a lot of the magic mirror work because I'm seeing myself. I'm seeing more of my own, the word I like to affectionately use is bullshit. And part of the avoidance, I could be doing some of the bookkeeping, the taxes, the Calendly links. And it's just like, okay, just notice that. I could be doing the replies. I could be doing the writings. I could be doing, there's all these things I could be doing. And then what other teachings, trainings are there? What other readings are there? There's the Demartini videos to listen to. There's the Demartini method to do. There's a reading out of my purpose statement and my love lists to do. It's also, what would I absolutely love to do and be handsomely paid to do it? Awakening the inner sage. Part of it is, and I always say this, like, when I actually do my work, I get to lie back and be like, all right, now you go do the shit. That's part of it. That's why I want to awaken the inner sage in others. And I'm awakening the inner sage in myself every time too. It's a reflection. As they waken, I wake up even more. And it's a lot of fun to be this kind of awake. And this kind of awake can be the same as the lucid dreaming, because lucid dreaming is just awakening in your dreams. And that inner sage, that inner locus, that inner trust. And I think as I awaken me more, there's more that I can be with, take on, see, do, experience, and then life becomes more exponential. What else is life going to provide and offer in that space? I have no idea, and I'm excited to have no idea. I'm really glad we've got this fire pit now that I can stand around, and that it's hooked up to natural gas, so I don't have to worry about it. It's a practice to lead an organization. It's a practice to play with others. I'm still taking a look at whether that's what I actually want to do. And there's a piece that does definitely want to have at least a certain skill set, because creating anything of even a single person size, and that's the thing I remind myself of. I can see one of my dear friends who's facilitating, she does so much of it on her own. I'm like, I don't want to facilitate on my own at all. That was it, even leading the breath. It's like, it was great to have people. It's great to have people who want to be with me as well, who see the way I do things and they're enjoying it as well. What am I available for? Like, I love to play my part in more men's masterminds. What are the actual goals? What are the objectives? Having some more small group, mixed container ceremonies. Can get some juice now. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. And sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. So part of it for me is to take a look at how do we mitigate non-native EMF? How do I be in this world of technology without being in technology all the time? How do I let go of the Wi-Fi's and everything else? How do I check in on Aries Tech and other things to see if it works well? And how do I not give over my sovereignty and truth to someone else and just say I've outsourced it completely, while also outsourcing as much as possible because I don't want to have to take on everything. That's a piece too. And then part of this is I'm learning it too, is this is part of the awakening for the clients. And they don't have to take it all on. Like, this is not the main priority. And there is some priority to this, a priori. Awaken to yourself, ask the questions, and then trust. Whether it's the idea of different, and this is the word that everyone wants to use, theories that are outside of the norm. Theories that are outside the norm. When it comes down to it, most of these things are theories in life. Like, this whole theory of an objective reality is so funny now that I am able to notice it more and more, that when there's even only two people, myself, my beloved, and we have completely different ideas of what objective reality was, even though we both love each other, want the best for each other, when we're in the midst of like a disagreement in that way, when we lose sight, I realize as well, I'll say I, because she's not here to speak for herself, I realize, like, I have no idea what actually happened. And my work now is just to let go of me having to be right about what I think happened. And be able to honor that that's the experience that I have in my memory banks right now that I'm pulling up. And so if that's the case, and we're having trouble with this, then how much more is out there? And then the answer isn't more cameras, especially in this world of artificial intelligence of being able to manipulate how quickly that's going to be, like that movie, that TV show Capture, where the truth can get altered. We could already do that, I believe. I believe all of that is already possible. Like, whenever they show that, it's like, this already exists. How many interviews have we seen with people that weren't really interviews with people? How much hiding is there in plain sight? How much is orchestrated and scripted that we think is unscripted? That's the idea of the reality show, right? Reality TV. The idea that we first got, especially when we watched Survivor season 1, it's like, oh my God, this is just pure reality. It's happening. No one has any idea what's going to happen. And the more you learn, the more you see how there's writers. Like, why do you need writers for a reality TV show? So many of them too. It's because they're constantly taking a look at what storylines, what narratives, what do we want to accentuate, highlight, how do we actually bring this to the forefront? How do we create challenges that actually accentuate this? How do we create the interviews? How do we nudge people without overtly, maybe, and maybe some of it was even overt, but what do you get from being part of this overtness? You may have a better chance to win, you may have a better chance to proceed, you may have a better chance for fame, which is what many people are there for. And it was such a reminder today, if you're chasing fame as your primary objective, probably not really going to enjoy it. If you're doing what you're doing and recognize that fame may be a part of it, that's okay. Not okay, but I'm going to have an easier time with it. Like Naval, as famous as he is to me, isn't famous. Tim Ferriss, Chris Williamson, like all of them, they're famous and not famous at the same time. In the right circles, they're completely anonymous. In other circles, they are so well known. So much stuff all going on. So much stuff all going on. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Be with the poop. Got to move the car before 9 a.m. today, so that's my only reminder. That's my only reminder. I'm gonna let it go. Got such good friends. We boarded their key fob. Grateful for that. Looking out at the trees, remember to gaze off in the distance. I'm starting to do that more now, and then shifting the focus to nearby, and then off in the distance again, and then nearby, off in the distance. Playing with the eye muscles, just noticing how they've not been used as much. Like, I think these days we don't use our eyes as much as we used to. So used to staring straight ahead, so used to bring everything right into gaze and then slightly down, whether it's a screen or a tablet or something else. And then being reminded, well, that's different looking at lots of tiny little pixels. Even if they're really good little pixels, your eyes are actually seeing all these changes in the colors, even though your brain interprets something else specific out of it. And how do we go back to first principles? Your eyes can see everything. It's just filtered by the brain. What is actually important? What is the movement that's important? Being able to see the cars and the lights. Whew. What else, if anything? I think we're going to do part 1 or part 2 today. Gonna let this one go, and then come on back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Noticing the differences in the eyes again. So it's just one day. Just one day that I noticed the difference. Ciao for now.